back to the Slaying Self-Doubt YouTube channel. Here is where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to walk into their God-given purpose. How do we do that, you ask? Well, we create safe and brave spaces just like this for Black women to show up authentically as themselves. So join me and sometimes some of my friends or our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I am Coach Felicia, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome to all the new slayers joining our movement. I don't care if it was by way of the podcast, the YouTube channel, one of our many guests, or you just Googled me. Thank you for being here. While you're here, please, 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 we ask that you subscribe to our channel and you share with at least 10 people. We are trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year. And we need your help in doing that. And so if you could send this episode, send whatever you're watching to 10 people, you would aid us in that. So let's get into this episode. Hey Slayers, welcome back to another episode of Slaying Self-Doubt Podcast. I am here with Jennifer Henderson from Red Lips and Passports. She is a travel and lifestyle content creator. If y'all don't know, you need to know, okay? Because she be all over Instagram and all over the world, okay? Like I be living vicariously through you. Like, oh, I can't wait to let me see where and the tips that she gives. We're gonna get into all of that, but hey girl, hey Jennifer, how are you?
Hey, thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Let me also say that she be having some stories about like how her mother be checking for her and how she be like, where you at, and how she leave her mother on red and all and all of that. Like it is like to watch your journey, throughout all the things. I've been stalking you for a while, right? So clearly I know all the business, right?
All the tea.
I know all the tea, right? So, but I know, and some of my listeners may or may not know, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yes. So my name is Jennifer. You can call me Jen Bunny. I think nobody really calls me Jennifer.
Oh, you know what? It's so funny. I'm sorry, I'm about to pause right there, but my nickname since birth is Bunny. So that is so funny. Look at this.
Listen, and we already
okay.
had that conveation before. Like,
yes.
Okay, we're on the same page.
We're already in sync. Okay, Jim Bunny, let's go.
So I started so Red Lips and Passports actually started off as a beauty blog. And it was an outlet for me because I had a terrible breakup. I was so heartbroken, and my therapist told me that I needed an outlet. So I would just review all these beauty products, and then in the midst of doing that, I traveled to Sydney, Australia. It was my very first international trip, right? Go big or go home.
How is that right? Like you just go like, yeah, I'm about to go 16 hours away.
16, baby, it took me 28 hours to get there. Okay. I left here November 20th. I left here November 18th. I got there November 20th.
What the?
That's how long I was like, but it's because of the
time zone. Yes.
Yeah, so that's a whole interesting.
Yes.
Story. But when I went on that trip, I was so obsessed with travel after that. Like I'm like, this is what I've been missing. I'm 31 years old, and I'm just now, seeing the world. And so, I loved it so much that I booked my next trip. While I was on that trip, I decided that I was going to go to Iceland because I found it amazing.
You was like, freak the United States. I'm out here. Okay.
Right. Because I haven't done much domestic travel. After that, I was sharing travel tips on the beauty blog. It was called My Product Addiction. And then I met with the creative coach, and she was like, when you talk about travel, you just light up.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I need to find a way to merge both. I need to, beauty and travel. So it's now what I say is my tagline is celebrating the beauty of travel. And that's how Red Lips and Passports was born, because I'm always in a red lip.
I love it.
So and here we are. I didn't start getting serious with it until 2020. I slid in this girl's DM because I liked her content, and I was like, how can I get like you? She asked me how much I was willing to invest in my in working with her, because she had never done it before, like helping somebody. So I told her how much to pay. and still didn't do nothing with it. I prayed like, God, why you not helping me? And literally I heard him come over the loudspeaker and say, I'm waiting for you. Like, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So you need to meet me halfway. And once I did that, that's how we got to where we are right now.
Yes. Okay. So I need to put a pin in that right there, yo. So sometimes the Lord is waiting on you. You keep asking him, show me, show me, show me. And he's saying, you show me, right? Like, you show me what is worth to you. What are you willing to invest, right? Faith without works is you can't just have the faith. You gotta work. It's twofold. Okay. We talk about that often on here, but that didn't come from me, y'all. That came from Jim Bunny. So clearly, listen, we already know. Okay. So I love how one, that your story started with like a healing journey for you, right? Like, and sometimes we don't know that the journey that we're going on. Oftentimes, the women I talk to on here, their purpose and their passion is birthed out of a traumatic event or something that is requiring them to heal from it, right? Like, and I guess that could be anything, right? But it is like in that when you're trying to rebuild yourself and you're trying to get back to you, you start to pay attention and you're more in alignment with what it is that God wants for you to do, right? And what brings you joy and what brings you happiness. And like you said, yeah, okay, it started out as the beauty thing, but once you were able to experience that travel, it was a spark that lit in you. And now look at you. Like you said, like, I'm sure you would have never been able to think about this prior to that. Like, this is where I could be. This is what I could be doing with my life. Like, literally a globetrotter.
Yep. I never thought, it's like, there's several moments when it came full circle, because sometimes in our community as Black people, travel is not, when we're younger, you know what I'm saying, we're doing like our Ocean City trips or a road
Girl,
trip here
Myrtle
and there
Beach.
to
If
actually
I
have a passport, at least from my world, that didn't exist for me,
yeah.
right? So here we are. And I recently shared how I came full circle, because I never in a million years thought that I would be one in the space that I am right now, especially as far as healing, but also that I would be out here traveling the world, getting paid to share, right? And then, and getting messages from people saying how I've encouraged them to get a passport, and they don't even know where it's going,
Right.
But it came full circle for me when I went to Amsterdam, and I went to the Anne Frank house, right? And after I went there, I walked out and I said, wow, remember when you was in 8th grade and y'all read the Diary of Anne Frank? And I thought
everybody did.
yeah. And I thought that her diary was in one of the Smithsonian's here, because DC got everything.
We got everything, right?
And so I was going to ask my dad to take me to the museum so I could see the diary. So my teacher said, well, the diary is actually in Amsterdam.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, never. I was like, well, where's that at? And he told me it was in Europe. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I ain't never going there. And then exactly 20 years later, I got there. And it didn't dawn on me until I walked out like, wow, you said you was never going to get here. And look.
Wow. Look at God. Look at God. He just stay blessing, stay keeping us on our toes, right? This is one of those things where I've seen it a lot. I've heard it a lot where people, we can't outdream God, right? We can't outdo him. But when we put limitations on him, we really putting limitations on ourselves. Like, he can do every single thing that we want, but we minimize it. Like you said, like, I know, all growing up, like, Myrtle Beach was our family joint. Like, we gonna drive these 8 hours and that's gonna be it. We've had, I was fortunate enough to have 2 opportunities to go out the country with my parents. So I did know what that was like before I became an adult, but it still took me. Let's see, the last time I went out the country, I was 16. The next time I went out, I was 34 and it was my honeymoon. Like, it just, after it just never dawned on me that was something that could be like, yeah, you feel like you got to save up your PTO. You got to save up your money. You got to wait till the right time. You need to make sure everybody is in attendance. Like, it was so many things that it felt like you had to be like, it got to all be right to go. When in real life, I'd be like, how many trips I missed? Like watching now before I had children. And I'm like, I had a good 7 years. I could have been, man,
In
I could
these
have been
streets.
anywhere.
Yep.
Anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, because I actually had done a poll and I was like, what is keeping you from traveling? And it was two things that people said. It was um it was um PTO and money,
Yep.
right? And so I was like, well, if it's money, listen, a budget is a budget. If you can't squeeze blood from a turnip. If at the end
Yep.
of the month you only got 1 cent, it is no way that I could tell you how to travel with that
Not
1 cent,
1 cent.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
But I can show you how you can use plane ticket layaway or some of these other payment plans. And I can definitely show you how I travel with only having 3 weeks of leave annually,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I still be in these streets, but you got to be real strategic with how you
About
can
how you using your
invest.
time. And I think
Mm-hmm.
also to that is that we spend our money on what we, now that I'm older, I'm in my 40s, we spend our money on what we value, right? When you in your 20s, a lot of times for what now, life is different from the early 2000s, late 1990s. So it's a little, it's different, but it's like if you're just valuing going to the club, hanging out with your friends, stuff very local, then yeah, going outside of here seems beyond you, especially because
Yes.
it's beyond your circle, right? And so we've gotten to a place now where like you can say like, okay, well, if she ain't trying to go, I'm going on my own. But that wasn't a thing before, right? That was something that stopped people like, oh, I'm gonna go by myself. Like Bams wouldn't even go to the movies by themselves, right? Like, girl, you just going to the AMC to go watch you.
You're not going to be talking anyway. You might as well just go ahead and go to
just
the movies.
just go. But it's the, I think I saw a lot of it is the mindset part of it. So my question to you is that of course on this journey of the healing, the traveling, becoming a content creator, coming into this space, how has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
Okay, so a lot of it came from my weight,
Mm.
right? I was nearly 300 pounds just a year ago.
Come on, girl.
And a lot of it came from me. I didn't want to show my face, right? And I
Mm.
remember I told somebody that because they were like, when are you going to show your face? Right. And I was like, oh, I didn't think anybody would want to look at me, right?
Mm.
Like, why would you want to see this? I don't like the way I look. So why would you like the way I look?
Yeah.
Right. Um, so that played a huge, huge role. I got a little more comfortable with showing myself on there. Like that's how I started doing the sipping chats and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
showing full body pictures and stuff like that. But even still, I remember reading this book about being a content creator, and it was saying that sometimes people will unfollow you because of the way you look. And so I would think if I'm losing followers, it's because I'm fat, it's because my
Mm.
eyes are puffy and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And after after I had weight loss surgery, my confidence boosted. And I said, you know what, they're gonna like me or they not gonna like me. And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because I'm going to be in the rooms that I'm supposed to be in.
Absolutely.
The second way that it affected me was doing things on my own. I have become a huge advocate for solo travel now, but initially I would not travel solo because I was so worried about being abducted like Natalie Holloway. I was also
I
worried
mean,
about
that stuff is real. People be, listen, I go places, I'm like, I ain't trying to be nobody mule. Okay.
and listen, okay? Um I also was worried about how it looked. Does she look lonely, right? Are people going to
Mm.
think that I'm lonely? Am I just going to be in the room the whole time? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And once I tried it, it was not life changing, but it was like, oh, this is way better than having to wait for people to have their money together. Like,
Yeah.
bye, let's go. But the biggest one was my weight and
Yeah.
thinking nobody would want to see me.
And so even during that time and now, because I could imagine that through that whole process, what you're saying that like your weight was something that you struggle with. What did you I mean, you still traveled because you just said you started this in 2020. You did the weight loss surgery a year ago. What were some practical things that you did to yourself to get you on that plane, to book that ticket, to go ahead and do it with you being afraid and nervous and your self-doubt being in your ear like, girl, blah, 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 blah.
So the trip was, when I knew that I was so to give a little bit of background, my friends moved to Australia in 2014, right?
Okay.
And as far as I was concerned, we weren't friends no more.
Because they
I'm
moved?
never coming. I'm never coming to see you, right?
This never happening. Yeah, okay.
You can come here, but me with my credit score was a 1 at that time. I didn't have no money. How I'm a fool? I don't got no passport.
Right.
How can I go on this trip?
Yeah.
And my friends walked me. They was like, somebody called me and was like, they got this thing called plane ticket layaway. So I'm like, shoot, now I ain't got no excuse. Now I can afford layaway.
Right.
I put the ticket on layaway, and as the trip got closer, my friends walked me through everything. They walked me through how to get my passport. They walked me through how to get a visa to come into the country. They told me if I had a credit card, to you use that, like instead of actually using my debit card
yeah,
to avoid all the fees. And they just step by step got me ready. They called me the day before. They called me the night before I was leaving. They called me the day I was leaving. Every layover, they called me to make sure. They were like, okay, you have a really long layover in Vancouver. Go get a massage. Go do this. Make sure you're reading signs. Like they really prepared me because I was scared.
Yeah.
I thought, how do you survive a long haul flight like that? What if I get on the wrong? I mean, it was so many things that I'm like, what if I was at the airport on time? Like it was just so many things. But I was thankful that they had prepared me for that. So it gave me, I was still very nervous, but on the way back, I had all the confidence in the world because I had already been through it.
Yes. So, and we got to put a pin in that about how important your tribes are, the right people, right? That remember we were saying like you got the people around you that ain't trying to go nowhere, so you just fall into their space, right? And you just think, okay, I'm not going to travel. But then to be around the right people who are going to walk you through these different seasons of our lives, right? And to be able to take you through that step by step, like that's a village. Like that's what you want. That's what people are even now just still yearning from, to be able to do basic stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I know with some of my friends, one of my friends had an appointment today, and I called her, was like, did you have your appointment? What they say? Like she like, and and some people that's like, that's too much information. But I'm like, if you my friend, I care about your health, I care about what's going on with you. Yes, I'm in your business because I want you here, right? Otherwise, at this point, what are we doing? What are we doing? If it's going to be superficial, I am too old for it to be a superficial relationship. Okay. Either we're doing life together or we're not. Period. Right. Period. And so they were doing life with you. So I know that you said how important that is. And so how has your tribe grown in being able to now like show the world how to do what you did that very first time? Because that's what you're ultimately doing. You're walking other people through that very first trip to Australia. You're walking these people that you have never met a day in your life through their very first trip somewhere.
So it has grown exponentially, right? It's at the point now. I was out at the Hamilton in DC and was seeing Black Alley and wings. This lady,
I said bomb sushi and wings.
Bomb sushi, okay. I was so I was there and I met it was a Black Alley concert.
Okay.
And a Black Alley show, I should say. And this girl walked up to me. It was two ladies that said this to me. They was like, I follow you on Instagram. And I was like, oh wow, like, gave them a hug or whatever. And I was like, that's so strange. Like, it will forever be odd to me that people will walk up to me and be like, is your name Jen? And I remember the first time it happened, I was like,
how you know me?
and I was like, I'm single. I ain't talking to nobody husband. You know what I mean? Like I didn't nobody asking for my phone number. Like, who are you? And she was like, I follow you on Instagram. I was like, oh hey girl. Like, I didn't know why you was asking me my name. I might have cut you off. I ain't know what I don't know.
I don't know what's happening, right? Yeah.
But it's now, and also when people, like I said before, people send me messages saying like, oh, I got a passport because of you. I booked my first flight. When people ask me for advice, um, when they share my content, like it's just amazing to me how much it has grown. Because another self-doubt is, are people really getting anything from me, right? And the content that I'll share. And I swear every single time I doubt myself, here goes somebody that's like, hey, what do you think about this? Today was a day where I was like, maybe this is all too much. And maybe, I'm sorry, not today, but the day that I got your message about coming on the show, I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe this is too much, And I was really in a kind of a low moment at that time because there was a lot of things that were happening. And I said, Jennifer, look what God just did. He just dropped this in your email. Like, keep going. Like, don't let that noise.
Listen, and the thing about it is that I say, I tell my clients, and anytime that I'm speaking, I'm always like, self-doubt doesn't go away. Like, slaying is an action. You're doing that every single day, right? For me, every time I show up, I am slaying my self-doubt. When you talked about initially, the not wanting to show your face and not wanting people to see you was your initial fear and your self-doubt. Those who have been following me know that that's my story, because I had Bell's palsy. And so for me, it was like, oh, it's okay to talk on this podcast. Don't nobody need to see my face. You can hear my words, right? And it'll be fine. But like, I always tell people, if you go, because I don't do that whole like resetting your social media, it'd be too much work. But I'm like, if you scroll all the way down, it probably took like 2 years before you seen my face, until I was comfortable enough with knowing like, hey, for me, what I see, and only if you knew me before I had Bell's palsy, you would know that my face is crooked. But that's what I see every single day. So when I'm looking at other people, I have to be confident in the fact that like, I know that things still don't. There's times where I be eating and my eye just start watering. My kids be like, you all right? I'm like, it's my Bell's palsy. I don't know, because this part of my face is paralyzed. Like, I have no control over some things, but I was like, that doesn't stop me from doing what it is that I know that I'm called to do. But in those moments where you are questioning that, like, is this resonating? Is this getting to people? Lord, is that, was you right that day that you said I'm waiting on you? Were you right that day you told me to move? And then he, like you said, he just dropped something to say, yes, because people are watching. People, and I told you I've been stalking you for a while, right? But I can only do a certain number of interviews a year. Like, so it's like I got this running list of people that I'm watching. And for me personally, I am watching people slay their self-doubt. Like, without you having to say things, I can tell when people share their story, share their doubt. Like, I don't want the picture perfect thing. I want, give me that broken vase that you can still see the light out of, because that is going to resonate with the people that listen to my show, that are like, I'm still trying to figure it out. Baby, we all are. And if anybody's telling you different, they lying. They is lying. Yank. Okay, I'm telling you, they swelling already. If they telling you they got it together, it's not true, because we all are struggling. I was telling somebody today, I said, every person is one tweet, one comment, one share, one post, one something away from losing their mind. Every single person. I don't care who you are. Every single person. It one event could and you be like, they was just fine yesterday, because you don't know what people are struggling with. You don't know what's going on in people's lives. And so what you do is you're bringing in your information, you're also bringing joy, because there's people who are experiencing things that they would have never experienced had you not chose to say yes, had you not chose to show up. And yes, it can feel like a heavy burden, because you've realized that there's so many people connected to you. But that is God's purpose, is that we all are connected to each other. And so we have to do our work for the next person to do their work. So, that's just a side note to keep doing what you're doing, girl.
I'm doing my absolute best, and I try my best to be, not even try my best. I am very transparent about the low moments. I shared
Yes.
the other day. Someone asked the question, "How do you balance it all?" And I said, "Well, I gave some tips on how I balance it." I said, "But honestly, right now in this moment, I am failing at everything." Right. And so another person replied and said, "I appreciate you being so transparent, because on the outside, it may look like this, but you're telling us the real." And a girl who lives in my building, she said, "I've been going through it." I said, "Yeah, girl, me too. I was on the floor screaming, like crying out to God on my knees, because I was really, really hurt in that moment." And she said, "Well, it looked like your life is such and such." And I said, "You couldn't hear me down the hall screaming the other day, 4 o'clock in the morning, crying out like, God, what is going on?" I was like, don't let this social media stuff fool
Don't
you,
let it
because
fool
we
you.
all are out here going through it.
Yes, you are watching people's highlight reel. I've said often, them stimulus checks was real nice, but what they should have given people after the panorama was 2 years of free therapy, because that's what people need. We all went through a traumatic experience together, and then you want Bama's to just go back to work? Like, what is,
like nothing happened? Like our entire lives didn't change in 24 hours?
Listen, okay, and all the things that came after that, the social injustice, man. If I could go, like, I just right now, I'm just like, you know what? That's a different set. But I'm just like, I am big on Jesus and therapy, right? And so I'm like, that is what we needed. We are in a mental health crisis. Also, my background is in healthcare, so when I be seeing stuff, I be like, y'all keep playing around, like the rapture is coming, y'all. I'm sorry, because the Lord gonna be sick of us. He about to be through. He about to
Child, he
be through.
already out here slapping folks with his sandal. Okay. He is tired.
He is tired of us. So, Jen, what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
That I matter, that I have a purpose. As somebody who suffers from multiple mental illnesses, I sometimes depression sets in, and it makes you think, like, am I supposed to be here, blah blah blah. So it just really, I have learned that I matter, that if I have reached one person, then I have done what God has put me on this earth to do.
Yeah.
And basically that I'm capable. There's a lot of things where you experience a lot of rejection, and I have experienced a lot of rejection in life. I'm sure we all have, but this has really shown me, like, the opportunities that will come, that are supposed to be here will be here, and the ones that aren't will leave. And you are, even if you get rejected, you are still amazing. You are still you are still capable of doing all things. And just, I don't know, it's giving me a lot of confidence. That's what I've learned, is to how to be confident. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. It is. I always say, prior to this, I was never looking to be an entrepreneur or whatever these other names that they've given us, content creators, influencers, blah, 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 all of that stuff, right? Like, I just was out here doing what it is, but God put something on me and said, you, right? And for the longest time, I just fought it. Like, I was out here like Cuba Gooding Jr., like fighting the air. Like, no, this isn't. Pick somebody else. Like, I was legit. Pick somebody else. No, not today. Like, I don't want to. But when I have these conversations and when I am talking to clients, and the same thing when there's moments that come up, even shoot for my kids, when they are paying attention and they see what it is that I'm doing, and they're saying, Mommy, I'm watching you talk to these women, and it's bigger than me, right? When you know that it's bigger than you, again, like I said, it is a heavy burden. But this is also why, I feel like for me, God put me in this space to use this platform to bring women together, to let us know that, like, we're not by ourselves, right? We are not alone. We all are struggling with this thing, and we're better together, right? We spent too many years out here, being in competition, and there's still people who do it. But if we all just were humble enough to be like, girl, I don't got it today, but you do. Help me, let me help you pull you up, right? Let me help you along in this situation. And the women and the people who are saying to you, you help me get to this place, you help me book this trip, I am learning from you, I'm getting these things, those deposits that people are continuously pouring into you, those are the things that when you have your low moments, when we have our moments where we like, why me, we can go back and be like, okay, that's the reason why, right? I told one of my clients, you need to sit down and you need to write down God's track record. Write down his track record and write down all the things that you said would never happen that did. And when you have that moment, when you forget,
get out of my business. Get out of my business. I'm about to sit here and cry because you done spoke this word.
It just, listen, I always be like, I know what it is that God has called me to do. And in those moments where when he be like, you want me to, and I'd be like, hold on, Lord. Okay, let me look at your track record and let me see that before this was anything, there's other stuff that you brought me out of. So, that I can tell you on that day, I was like, this is the worst day of my life. So if that was the worst day, this can't be the worst day of my life. And if you got me through that, I'm here. So it's evident that you're gonna get me further. And as we keep going, we see the other end. Like, we'll see glimpses of stuff that he has for us, which means, listen, I tell everybody, if you still here, you got work to do. You got purpose on your life. You got other people to connect to you, and you have other people who need you. So you matter, because I need you. I need you here to be on this episode. I need you here for when Slaying Self-Doubt does a travel, whatever. Like, my thing is that self-doubt is attached to so many different things, and we try to minimize it and say, oh, it only has to do with this. Or no, baby, self-doubt is everything. It's everywhere, whether you want to admit to it or not. But these people that God are bringing into my space for me to be able to say, like, let's do this together, is for us to be able to join hands and say, okay, I may have self-doubt about traveling solo or going out of the country and being on a 28-hour flight, but she already did it and she can walk me through it. And so I have less fear, less self-doubt, because I have the confidence of somebody that you done already blessed to be able to show me how. It's just how he works. How he works. So, I every now and again, that's why I say sometimes this joint go to the left, but every now and again, the Lord will just sprinkle something in my spirit, and I got to get it out. That's just, I gotta be obedient, because otherwise it just be
honestly,
a mess.
Like, I shed a couple tears, like, just now.
It happens.
Like,
it be happening.
Like, look at his track record. Well, dang.
Yeah, I'm telling you, every person, every client that I've had that I say, you have to write it down. Write down his track record, right? Sometimes we remember it, like, oh yeah, I forgot. You go back and you be like, so in 96, like, sometimes I got to go all the way back, right? Sometimes you just have to remember the things that we push down, that we remember that the Lord got us out of. And there'll be more stuff he gonna get us out of in the future. Like, it's fine. But his track record is unmatched. He is 100 for 100. Unmatched. Even if it doesn't work out the way we want it to, it is still unmatched. You can't do nothing with it. See, I'm not throwing my brain all off. I'm just forgetting. Like, I feel like, okay, come on, Bun, get with it. Okay, so red lips and passports. Let's talk about it. Well, we know you travel, okay, but what is it that you're sharing with other people to inspire them, or even if that was your intention, but you are inspiring other people to do? Like, what is your mission in doing red lips and passports?
So my mission is to share with my community how to travel and how it doesn't have to be expensive, right?
Praise the Lord.
But at the same time, take away some of the fears that people have that keep them from traveling, right? So I'm sharing the tips on how to be safe, sharing me going to some of the places that have been considered a little bit scary and unsafe for people. And then giving little tiny hacks on how to save on travel and things like that. Because like I said before, money is a huge reason why a lot of people don't travel, but they don't realize some of the different ways that you can earn rewards points, even if you don't have a credit card, and the different payment plan systems that they are. And I know that there are a lot of influencers, or I hate that word, content creators,
right,
out there that gatekeep, right? They're not telling you how they're doing all the things. They just want to show you what they're doing. And I always say, I'm not going to gatekeep. Whatever you want to know, within reason, because some people get a little personal.
Right.
Whatever you want to know, I'm going to tell you. You want to know how I paid for something? You want to know how I can take so many trips? Whatever. I'm going to show you, because you're fully capable of doing it too. I don't want to say no matter what your budget is, but there is something out there for the majority of people's budgets, right?
But no, really, no matter what your budget is, maybe right now your budget isn't for you to travel international, right? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
But that don't mean you can't go nowhere. Have you ever been across the country? Like, you know what I mean? Or to a different...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Have you ever been in your own backyard?
Listen,
right?
Don't even.
Because 2020, I was not doing anything. I came home from a trip like 3 days before life changed, right? And life changed for all of us. And 2020, I ain't go nowhere. I think I went to Nashville. That was it, right? And it was when people were starting a little bit to travel, but it forced me to do what I was calling traveling in my own backyard, right? So every weekend I would go on these long walks in my neighborhood, right? And I was finding the most amazing things. And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that this existed. Yeah, who knew? And even in our area, there's a whole bed and breakfast in Upper Marlboro. Who knew?
Girl, I just found that out this weekend. I was like, hold on, what? I know one in Columbia, and I knew one. It'd be like stuff be popping up, and you'd be like, who? I didn't even know that was here. Like, but it's but like you said, sometimes we're looking so far ahead, we don't even pay attention to what's happening right now. And even it's so funny because this last week I was in California and people ask like, where you from? And it's so hard because when people say, you say Maryland, people will be like, oh, Baltimore. And I'll be like, no, we are not the same. Okay. So I had to say, I'd be like, Prince George's County, Maryland, which is right outside of DC. Like, I'm like, I can see the monument from my back window. And so like, oh, that's so cool. Like all the statues and the monuments and all this stuff. And I was just like, if you only knew, I've probably been to like 3 of them joints in my whole lifetime. But I was like, but whenever I think about it, people travel across the globe to go look at the Lincoln Memorial. Like, and I'd be like, what street is it on? Like,
I just saw the MLK Memorial for the first time last year.
Listen, and Bammers be in like planes coming out here, like they have to see this joint. And I'd be like, I think I've only seen the monument. And I'm gonna stop right there. I'm 40 something. I gotta take my kids, right? They don't do as many field trips in DC as much as they used to. But I told my husband, I said, all right, this summer we're gonna have to take these kids to the down DC so they know, because clearly I'm like, okay, the reflective, is that still here? Like I'm like really like if I don't see it on TV, it's just like, yeah, that is in my backyard. But you're right, like we have to be able to experience that. Okay, so you're teaching people to that they can travel and that they can travel on a budget and that they can go to places they want to go. So if you had to think of 3 tips to give our listeners right now, those who are in that space of like, where do I start? Where do they start?
So it really just depends, right?
Okay, like, well, you give us. Do you have tiers? You have tiers.
Yeah, so I would say, there's tiers. So for the first time travelers, I would say that it would be something like, I would say one, if you are like booking a flight, your first flight, and the number one thing is when you get to the airport, please read the signs, right? It irritates
Please
my
read the
entire soul when
signs.
people get into the TSA pre-check line. Like, you holding us up and you don't even got that pre-check on your pass
Listen,
on your plane
okay.
ticket, right?
Okay, because sometimes people don't know that that's the line. Okay, they didn't know they need to go to general boarding.
Right. So I'm like, read the signs, and that was just a little bit of shade, but seriously though,
It's all good. It's all good.
so
Let's put a pause in there right quick, right? Because
mhm.
I believe that there's some people that don't understand what's the point of pre-check. Like, what's the purpose of it? Like, why is that necessary? I know it's a little bump, but for those who don't know, why is it necessary for you to do, or why is it a good idea to do pre-check?
So PreCheck is like it's a trusted traveler program, right? There are
Okay.
multiple trusted traveler programs, but the top three are Global Entry, TSA PreCheck, and Clear. And with all of them, it gives you expedited access through security and expedited access to with Global Entry, it's expedited access through US Customs when you're returning from a trip. And
Okay.
so TSA PreCheck is basically when you get to the airport and you get in that line, you do not have to remove your coat, light jackets don't have to be removed, your shoes, and you don't have to remove your laptops or anything out of your bag, so you can get through security a bit faster.
Yeah.
It's important for the larger airports that are stressful, like Atlanta, which is the reason why I got TSA PreCheck, because I have almost missed plenty of flights because that security line getting through that airport is absolutely insane. But I definitely recommend you start, I don't even want to say start small, right? If you want to go out of the country, I always recommend an all-inclusive resort at maybe a popular destination. Maybe you want to do DR, Mexico, Jamaica. You can definitely start like that.
Yeah.
Another tip that I give everybody, I don't care how well traveled you are, is you do not have to be 55 and older to have an AARP card. You
Girl,
are
I
missing
learned
out
that.
on
I saw your post and I said, wait a minute, what? They got discounts that we need?
You are missing out on saving hundreds of dollars because you think that you need to be 55 and older to get an AARP card. It is $12 annually, and you will save on hotels and some more, right? So to give you an example, I went to Vegas in December. I saved $400 on my room because I had an AARP card. Wow. You don't have to have the card when you book, but you do need to have the card to present to them when you are when you're there.
Oh, so like your AAA card.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And so that's
a good tip right there. That's a good tip.
Another tip that I give everybody, if you are traveling international, it is very, very important for you to sign up for the Safe Traveler Enrollment Program. It's a program that's offered through the State Department. And what it does is you enter all your information about where you're traveling, the address, the country, and you put a point of contact for the US, right? So it can be like your parents or anything like that. And so what happens is if there is any kind of civil unrest in America or civil unrest at your destination, if there is bad weather in America or at your destination, you'll be notified, right? So I'm going to give an example. I've always signed up for it, but I never knew how much I needed it until last year when I got stuck in the Dominican Republic during Hurricane Fiona, right? And so as soon as I landed and I turned my phone on, I got an email from the embassy in Dominican Republic saying, we're tracking a storm, right? And this is what is going to happen and blah, 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 right? And then it was, we're shutting the embassy down. So if you do need anything, because at first it was just a tropical storm.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
As the days went on, they were like, it's full blown hurricane. We're shutting the embassy down. If you need anything, like this is what you're going to have to do. Then I got another message and it said, because now they're concerned about damages to.
Yeah.
Right. So if you lost your passport, it was like, hey, if basically the message was like, if any of these things happen, the closest embassy is here. Here's how you can get there, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that information was also sent to the people who were here. And so they knew what was going on with me at
the same time. Yeah.
Yep.
That is crazy. First of all, praise the Lord that you got out of there because that was a bad storm. And but that, like you said, like I would have never even known that that was a thing. So let me. Do you have this like? I probably would have asked offline, but I'm gonna ask now because I know somebody is listening. Like in the car, like, is there a link? Is there somewhere where I can go to? Like, do you have these tips already listed?
So actually, I have it on my content list to actually read to go over the STEP program again, right? But I
Okay.
believe it's step.travel.state.gov. And even if that's not it, just go to travel.state.gov. It will give you all the information you need for STEP, passport processing times, your passport application, all of that. Actually, look out tomorrow. Oh no, this isn't live.
Oh,
Look
right. Yeah.
out soon, because I will be doing a post. Actually, it will be tomorrow, but I'm doing a post on how to apply for a passport because a lot of
Okay.
people are very confused, and I'm seeing people do things that are not correct, and they're paying for stuff that they don't need to pay for.
Oh, see how she gonna
Yeah,
save you the dollars and everything. Okay, so we got AARP cards. We got how to we gonna figure out how to save on get these passports. Making sure that the people around you know where you going. She then broke down clear versus pre-check versus global. Like y'all, at this point, Jen is saying you have no reason. You have no reason.
you have zero reasons, and I'm gonna give you one more.
Okay, okay,
If you don't want to pay for global, first of all, if you get global entry, you automatically get TSA pre-check, right?
okay.
That's one thing, right? But if you don't want to pay for for global entry, download mobile passports. Mobile
Mm.
passport will also get you expedited access through security because they have their own line. You'll see it's a little symbol. You'll see it on the mobile passport control, and it'll tell you to go to that line. So the app is called Mobile Passport Control. You put in all of your information, like your passport information and stuff like that. When you are landing, or if you have a short flight back to the US, you fill out all of your information. The system will save your information for like 4 hours, I believe.
Oh.
I always fill it in as soon as I land. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
turn your phone on. I put in all the information. It's going to
Yeah.
ask for passport. It's you don't have to retake your passport photo if you've already. You don't have to retake your photo if you've already uploaded it, but it's going to ask you all the customs questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go through the mobile passport line. You show the passport stuff. You show your phone that you've entered all the information. You show your passport. Welcome home,
Oh,
right?
wow.
And so it's a lot easier. But I will say that sometimes that line is closed.
Of course.
Yeah, sometimes that line is closed, but if you stay ready, you ain't got to get
Yeah,
ready. So if
that is
you get
facts.
in this and it's open, bam,
You
bye
ready to
y'all,
go.
because I ain't
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah, because that custom line be like, why?
Mm-hmm.
It really be it be why. And it's hit or miss. So you just all the lines be like, you just never know. This allows you to be able to go straight through. Jen, I just want to tell you thank you really for sharing with us your journey, your story, and just giving us like the courage to be able to go because the amount of people that probably their healing is on the other side of the country or at somebody beach or on somebody resort that they don't realize it. Because sometimes all we need is to change the scenery. It
Mm-hmm.
don't need to like we think that okay, we got to just stay in this spot and we are purposeful more and you just don't know where it is. Like your story is proof that sometimes just getting out of your own way and hopping on a plane God will use you in a way you could have never imagined. And so I
Yeah.
thank you so much. Can you tell us how can people connect with you? How can they follow your journey? Because I'm already following, so I already know. How can they follow your journey and get connected with you and start sliding in your DMs?
Everything is red lips and passports. It's spelled exactly how it sounds. Redlipsandpassports.com. TikTok is Red Lips and Passports, and of course Instagram, which is the main platform that I'm on, is Red Lips and Passports.
Thank you so much, y'all. She made it easy for you. It's no need. I'm gonna make sure after this call, I'm gonna have her send me all them links so they be in the show notes, so y'all can just go ahead and get started. You don't have no reason, and I am going to also add the. Is it going to be a live on how to, or is it just a post?
It's just gonna be a post.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then I will also add the post on how to get your passport because you at least got to start there if you're going somewhere. You got to start. You got to start at getting your passport. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you for having
You
me.
are so welcome. As always, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, you enjoy this channel and you find it valuable, please consider donating by buying me a coffee. Your support will help me to create new content, get an official podcast studio, and ultimately reach more people. That's what we need. We need more people on this movement. Okay. If you're not already signed up to the newsletter, go to my website, www.slayingselfdoubt.com, and sign up for the Slayer Nation newsletter. That's where you'll get updates, where you'll get what's going on. You'll get the news first. You don't have to wait until I announce it or hear. Okay. And lastly, second to last, please make sure that you share this with at least 10 people. We are trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year, and every subscription, every share counts. So we need it. We need you to send it out to your peoples so they can help us hit our goal this year. Lastly, if you are not already following me on Instagram, you need to go on over there and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Until the next episode, see ya.